The Galactic Empire was a colossal power that spanned across the universe, controlling hundreds of star systems. They had subjugated countless races and crushed every enemy that dared to oppose them with their superior technology. Under the rule of the Grand Emperor, this empire had grown vast, and now its gaze had fallen on a small, overlooked corner of the galaxy, Earth. To the Empire, humanity was insignificant, a weak species. However, what the Empire didn't know was that humanity had never been stronger and was prepared for a great war. When the Imperial fleet, comprised of thousands of warships, reached Earth's orbit, the sky announced the arrival of war. The fleet hovered like massive walls of metal, casting shadows over cities below. The people watched in fear and disbelief, but deep within the government's underground command centers, preparations for battle had long been underway. General Marcus was sent as the Galactic Empire's envoy to Earth. Stepping out of a colossal warship, Marcus, towering, armored, and arrogant, made his way forward. The small human delegation that greeted him looked frail beside his imposing figure. Imperial soldiers, armed with laser weapons, surrounded the area. Standing in the city's central square, Marcus addressed the gathering with a voice full of defiance. "Humanity! The Galactic Empire does not recognize your existence. Surrender, or be obliterated by the might of the Empire. You have one day to decide. If you do not submit, we will destroy your planet." As Marcus' voice echoed across the square, the surrounding crowd was struck with terror. However, the human government had anticipated this threat. Government officials and military leaders had foreseen this moment for years and had made their preparations. In a hidden underground base, the most brilliant scientists and strategists of humanity had gathered, knowing that war was inevitable. Leading the command center was Ethan Thorne. Not a well-known figure, Ethan was regarded as a genius in war strategies. For many years, he had spearheaded the development of a secret weapon that would determine humanity's fate. Now, with the Empire's threat looming, Ethan and his team were ready to put their plan into action. Ethan stared at the holographic map in front of him. The Galactic Empire's ships had surrounded Earth in a near-perfect blockade. Compared to the strength of the Empire's fleet, humanity's forces were minuscule. But numbers alone wouldn't decide the outcome of this war. As the countdown to battle drew near, humanity's armies prepared their most advanced defensive systems. Energy shields buried deep within the atmosphere were activated. Laser cannons and rockets were placed in strategic positions. Every major city fell silent, with civilians being sent to underground shelters. Soldiers made their final preparations in the armories, readying themselves for the enormous battle ahead. When the Empire launched its first strike, the Earth's atmosphere turned into a fiery red ball of destruction. Massive laser beams shot down from the Imperial ships hovering above. The energy shields flickered, and explosions rang out around the cities. Earth's forces retaliated, firing laser cannons from just outside the atmosphere at the Empire's ships. In the cold darkness of space, a deadly dance began between the fleets. Both sides were taking losses. The sheer number and power of the Empire's ships was slowly destroying Earth's fleet one by one. But this was only the prelude. Humanity had kept its true plans hidden, waiting for the moment to counter what the Empire thought was its greatest move. The Empire's warships gleamed like deadly machines in the sky. Forming a massive ring of metal around Earth, they had the planet completely surrounded. This fleet, composed of Imperial cruisers carrying thousands of soldiers and devastating weapons, was slowly preparing to bring about the end of humanity. In the vacuum of space, beyond the atmosphere, the laser weapons of the Empire's ships burned like crimson flames, and Earth's counterattacks began without delay. Though smaller in size and fewer in number, the human warships resisted with surprising agility. Laser blasts lit up the depths of space, flaring and fading with each explosion as ships were torn apart. Human pilots were fighting the battle of their lives, while deep within the underground command center, there was a heavy silence. Everyone was waiting for Ethan's decision. The battle's full fury played out on the large screen in the command center. The Empire's overwhelming firepower was destroying the human ships one by one. The wreckage of exploding ships scattered into space, and with each explosion, the fear on Earth deepened. It was clear that humanity's strength was beginning to crumble under the relentless assault. As Ethan watched the screen with determined eyes, Elena approached him. "We only have a few hours left," Elena said, her eyes filled with concern. "Our fleets are rapidly dwindling. The Empire will consume our entire planet." Ethan nodded grimly. "I know, but we still have one chance." Meanwhile, General Marcus, the Empire's supreme commander, observed the battle from the control room of his ship. As he saw the human resistance begin to falter, he gave a satisfied smile and issued his command. "All ships, focus on Earth's surface. Obliterate them completely." At Marcus' command, the Imperial fleet shifted its focus. The enormous cruisers aimed their laser cannons at Earth. Crimson beams of light pierced the atmosphere, ready to strike the planet's surface. This would be the Empire's largest attack. Entire cities were about to be annihilated. In the underground base, the command center sprang into action. "The shields are failing," a soldier shouted in a panicked voice. "The Imperial ships are about to fire directly on the planet." Ethan walked slowly toward his desk. Elena stood beside him and whispered, "If we don't act now, everything will be lost. The Empire will destroy us, and nothing will remain." Dark thoughts swirled in Ethan's mind. This technology was the product of years of humanity's efforts, but using it could turn the entire galaxy against them, isolating humanity forever. Yet, there seemed to be no other choice. Outside, the battle raged on, and the shadows of the approaching Imperial ships began to fall over the cities. The Empire's soldiers were ready to fire their laser cannons. They were only waiting for the signal. The end of the war was near. Ethan had to make a decision. There was no time left to hesitate. Slowly, he reached out for the button, his heart pounding. The entire command center held its breath, waiting for his choice. Finally, he pressed the button. Suddenly, all the screens went dark. A profound silence fell over both space and Earth. Then, a massive wave of energy rippled out. The Empire's colossal fleet began to explode one by one in the depths of space. Red lights spread in all directions like a solar flare. Each explosion turned the sky into a sea of fire. The massive metal ships that once dominated the sky were torn apart, and then the explosions fell into silence. People, watching from underground bunkers, looked on in horror but also with a glimmer of hope. Witnessing such immense power being obliterated in mere seconds was both astonishing and terrifying. All that remained in the dark void of space were the wrecks of the Empire's shattered ships. Pieces of burning metal slowly descended through the atmosphere like rain, casting a glow over the cities below. The people of Earth, who had just experienced the abrupt and absolute end of the war, could hardly believe it. In the command center, a deep silence hung in the air. Elena, still watching the flickering explosions on the screens, took a deep breath. In that moment, she felt the full weight of their immense but costly victory. "Is it over?" Elena whispered, looking at Ethan. Ethan, without taking his eyes off the screens, nodded. Yes. At the same time, the military command center deep underground sprang into action. The news spread across the globe. The Galactic Empire's fleet had been destroyed, and Earth was free. Soldiers embraced one another, celebrating the victory. People began to emerge slowly from the bunkers. In many cities, they stood and watched the falling debris from the sky. Some celebrated the triumph, while others realized how narrowly they had escaped a great threat. Ethan gathered his team in the command center. A large holographic map confirmed the complete annihilation of the Empire's fleet. But the relief of the moment was short-lived. Elena, a scientist, was carefully analyzing some data on the control panel, a worried expression crossing her face. "The data we've received shows that this didn't just affect the Imperial fleet," Elena said, her voice filled with unease. "It may have impacted other key points across the galaxy." Ethan frowned as he approached her. "What do you mean?" Elena pointed to the flashing red dots on the map. "This weapon may have disrupted energy grids across the galaxy. The Empire's ships were destroyed, but this explosion might trigger other events throughout the galaxy. We may have created a new threat to humanity's safety." A shadow fell over Ethan's face. Destroying the Empire had been necessary to end the war, but they had unleashed a chain reaction that could destabilize the galaxy. Even though humanity had acted in self-defense, it was impossible to predict how other races might respond to this event. Meanwhile, activity was detected in the far reaches of space. News of the Empire's destruction spread quickly across the galaxy. Other galactic powers were beginning to take note of the immense destructive force that had been unleashed. Ethan knew that, given this new danger, he needed to plan humanity's next move carefully. A group of military advisors entered the command center and began speaking with Ethan. "Other races in the galaxy have noticed the explosion. The Empire is gone, but now they may see us as an even bigger threat." Ethan took a deep breath and slammed his hand on the table. "We've won the war, but now we must stay on alert for the entire galaxy." As the people of Earth celebrated their victory, Ethan and his command team began to consider what humanity's relationship with the rest of the galaxy would look like. The Empire had fallen, but a new era was dawning for humanity. In this era, they knew they were no longer alone in the galaxy, and other powers were watching them closely. The war was over, but races across the galaxy had witnessed this sudden shift in power. That massive wave of energy radiating from Earth had been marked on galactic maps as a new threat. Humanity was no longer just a small planet. It had become a force that could affect the entire galaxy. As Ethan gazed up at the sky from the window of the command center, he took a deep breath. The consequences of pressing that button might be far greater than he had ever imagined. The silence in the galaxy felt like the eerie calm before a storm. Humanity had no idea what awaited them in this silence, but one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. I hope you had a good time. If you liked my story, do not forget to comment and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye. See you in the next story.